Greetings to all. I am Dr. Ashok Kumar Katta, Program MBA, Department MBA Vistas, Subject Operations Management, Semester 2. Today, the topic for the presentation is on forecasting errors. What is forecasting error? Forecasting error is the difference between the actual and the forecast for a given period. All our forecastings will never materialize. It will never give an accurate results. Forecasting is all the time an assumption. This is what we are trying to get it in future. When you have a clear-cut vision on that, you will be having a strong forecast. There are many ways for preparing a strong forecast depending on the past data, depending on the situations, depending on the demand, depending on the current situations, how you will be able to convert as a favorable to you. Like that, you can see n number of components. You can be decide or you can be have a strong forecasting. But when it comes to a realistic picture, the forecasting may not be implemented by more effectively. Whatever the gap was there, that will be considered as forecast error. You are forecasting and actually what you have been done, the differentiation will be called it as a forecast error. Here we need to give a meaningful information to the next level officials. What is the reason for happening of the gap between these things, so that they will be having an alert on these important components. Here certain causes for forecasting of the error. In fact, just when you are organizing, when you are collecting the information from a largest sources, sometimes you may be find out there is a insufficient data for completion of your work. Many data related problems also you would have come across. All these are the variables or neglected elements of your forecast. Here in the picture also you can able to find out the forecast metrics are two ways: intrinsic, extrinsic. In the intrinsic, they are talking about the absolute errors. You need to be knowing about what is the medium, because somebody may ask you in the during the placement time, what is your median salary for the employees. Based on that, they will be come up for an assumption that this is the salary can be getting by an employee at the organization. What is the cost of expenditure or cost to cost will be calculated to be knowing by what is the cost they are spending on per head of the employee. Median, the percentile, which is all the time directly, indirectly will be influencing on your data. Here the percentile, sometimes there is a mismatching or errors also to be taking place. Here forecasting errors continuation, incorrectly identifying the relationship between the variables. We need to know what is the interrelationship between variables. The correct variable we need to be forecast, we need to be decide, it has to be reached to the customers. When you are having an assumption of sales of electronic automobiles, it should be related to, you need to have a comparative of price of gasoline prices. This is all the time to give the car itself available to the market. How many places availability of the car charging stations, we can able to correctly identify. Relatively we can go for the forecast. Even in the real time world also we can able to see this example is so much of valid. Why people are not showing interest to buy electronic vehicles? Each and every place we can able to find out n number of the petrol bunks where the people are can fill their tanks. Whereas that much of frequently we cannot able to find out by the charging stations for your vehicles. So ultimately what happened? The people are not showing interest to buying of electronic vehicles. It may be to and fro less than 50 kilometer distance from their houses to and working places or something else. Relatively only they would like to show interest for buying it off. And apart from that, they are not showing any kind of interest for moving forward buying of these things. So those gaps also to be noted by the institution, so that only these errors can be controlled or by the minimizing. Not recognizing trends in demand. Every time we are going to be seeing n number of failures to recognize the trends, either upward or by the downward. Even when you see about the fabric industry, especially in the film industry also, they were all the time updating their dresses with the latest trends. But at the same time, they were focusing on the downward or the old trends of dress courtesy also they are going to be using to create as a new trend for the current situation. This is all the time observing, and relatively they need to change about the entire structure of the organization based on the demand. The scooters, one of the important transportation vehicle 20 years back. Now you cannot able to find out those kind of vehicles which are all replaced by n number of latest models of scooties and Activas. Or the gear system was abolished by without gear system. Only the brake and accelerator you can able to use it equivalent or more comfortable than scooters. Not updating, forecasting, assumptions and techniques. You should monitor your forecasting method on a regular basis to detect any changes in the demand pattern. Fundamental shifts in the demand may require you to change your forecasting techniques. By monitoring your forecasting error, you can quickly delete changes in your demand. Projecting past trends into future trends. When you use time series method, as we all know, in the time series method, we are going to seeing about the seasons, the patterns. Relatively, we are come up with an assumption that what we supposed to do. In the moving average for the past 5 years or for the past 10 years or past 3 years, based on that, the next year we are going for an assumption of calculation. This can be a dangerous, especially rapid changes when it is taking places in the market, where the products experience tremendous growth in demand or become absolutely quickly. Reacting to random or special cause variations. Random variations is the natural shifts that occur from many minor sources. Special cause variation is fluctuation that can be contributed to an event that does not normally occur, such as a hurricane warning that forces evacuation and causes a rise in hotel stay in certain areas. Do not react to these variations because they are unpredictable and non-recurring incidents. Relying on biased information sources. Sales performances is often measured based on accrual sales as compared to the forecast. If actual sales exceed the forecast, the salespeople are often rewarded. So, lowest forecast offer them a greatest chance for to extending. Production staff tend to prefer high demand forecasts so they have more resources available to meet the forecasted demand. Always consider the sources of information for your forecast. Using an insufficient number of data points. Most of the time we are not using about and correct data, so the variations may differ. Relatively your pattern is going to be changed. You are not at all up to the mark. Now we'll see the discussion form. What is the forecasting? Forecasting is an assumption based on the existing data. We are come up with an assumption. This can be done. This can be meet the standards of tomorrow. It is just an assumption. Demonstrate forecasting errors. We are already seen about the intrinsic and extrinsic errors are also to be comes under forecasting errors. Thank you.